Apple season's upon us, so why not incorporate those freshly picked apples into your dinner menu?
I'm dancing.
You're dancing.
I love apples.
We have fun during commercials.
Kathleen Delaney, she's the owner of Great Grapes Catering. She's here to show us how to make a stuffed pork loin with fresh apples. It's always so nice to be with you.
It is so fun to be here, and the smells in this kitchen right now are really yummy.
Love it.
Well, okay, so what did you do last weekend? Well, my family went apple picking.
I did too.
And and it's awesome because you were just talking about fermented things, you know. After they went apple picking, they went to a brewery, so that was why they did it for health.
A little bit of everything.
I, of course, was working, so I couldn't go. But
fun.
Yeah, but that's okay. So today what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate all the wonderful, bountiful things from our garden and our typical French things like a mirepoix. Now, what's a mirepoix?
What is it?
You know what that is?
No.
Okay, it's a basic bottom for your sauce. It's onions, carrots, and celery. It's
That's
the big three.
Right, that's the Holy Trinity. I mean, you know, the Cajun people would say, "Oh no, you have to have the green, you know, the green peppers in there." But for our purposes today, we're starting everything with that. So basically, what I have is I peeled my apples, I cut them all up. I've put a little bit of wine in them so that because they start to go. So of course there's got to be wine involved.
Oh,
right?
why not?
But they start to turn brown, and I just want to make sure they have lots of flavor. So I use a really nice Alsatian wine, which is it's a Riesling, and it's if you see this shaped bottle, this is a great fall wine. It's a dry Riesling, so it goes really well with apples. It's amazing with pork, and so the two of them are great. So you can cook with it and then have a sip if you
I was just
need
gonna say,
to.
you can also drink it.
Oh, yes, you can.
Yeah. So
can.
today what we're doing is I've got a little mirepoix going in my saute pan just to start it out. And I've got my apples here. I've been hydrating some craisins because I really like those.
Are you crazy about them?
I'm crazy about craisins. But what I did, I got
Why
them
are you
going.
hydrating them?
Because I want them to be as moist and as sumptuous as the apples are.
Getcha.
So I put them in wine, about a cup of wine, and so we're going to put these these things together, with some rosemary and a little bit of this mirepoix, and of course we've been searing the pork, and I salt and peppered it, right? And then I'm going to put, of course, what's my favorite ingredient?
Dijon mustard.
Before
do we know you or do we know you?
But I also shaved a little bit of cinnamon on the pork too to bring out its natural, beautiful flavors. So always go direct if you can.
Here's my question. What I've noticed, though, there's a hole in these pork loins.
You know they come that way. Not.
No,
they do
I
not.
didn't know.
No.
So we're stuffing everything inside the pork loin?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can buy a really large pork loin and then you can section it out. You could do this ahead of time if you're a busy mom or a busy anyone, and basically cook it almost all the way and then freeze it and then take it out when you're ready to eat it.
It's probably a cheaper way to buy it at the grocery store, too.
I find it to be so, yes.
So how do you take it out of the center?
Okay.
Out of the center.
See this knife?
I see that knife.
This is my
That's
friend.
how you do it.
Okay, so I trimmed it out and I sliced it into 2 large pieces. See how there's 2? And what I did is I made it the size of my hand and the size of my knife, so that I made a hole in the middle, and I just went left. And then I turned the knife over and I went
like you're
right.
carving a pumpkin.
It basically, well, yeah, but you don't want to go all the way through. But if by chance you're totally gun shy about this and you really don't want to do it, you can just butterfly it and then basically tie it up with string.
To roll a TV or something like that.
But for TV purposes, I thought, well, what the heck?
No,
let's
you gotta
just
have some fun
make a
with
nice
it.
hole. Yes, so it's a little tunnel for you. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to mix these guys together, okay?
Okay.
And then there's going to be some extra moisture in here. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put all these together nicely. And then if you could pick some, have you ever, do you know the term picking, not just going to the garden and picking something, but picking your rosemary? So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take a sprig of rosemary. I got this from my garden because it's still really going
Good
for it.
you.
Nothing
So
like
I just take it and I pull it down the sides and I put it right in here.
All right, I'm gonna have
and
some
you
fun
can
with
take your little knife or even a scissor and go chop, chop, chop. But it's absolutely not necessary. I really like rosemary, especially in the bowl, Seth. And I love the way it enhances all the flavors of the fall as well.
But fresh is definitely better than dried.
Absolutely.
You know, it seems to me it's like a healthy salt, because people put salt into dishes to accentuate flavors, but you can do this and it does the
Absolutely
same thing.
do it with herbs and also, you know, wine. Don't get worried about wine because all the alcohol cooks off, but it does have such, again, it's a fermented fruit. So it gives you great, it's very good for your digestion as well.
Good to everybody have a glass of wine.
That's what they say. All those Europeans, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep searing this. We're going to mix this together, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain the wine off of the soaked things, and I'm going to pour it into a warm pan that was already seasoned with the mirepoix. I'm going to start that there so that by the time this pork is finished cooking, I will have all the flavors all together. I'll add a little bit of either cider vinegar or white balsamic vinegar into it and let it cook down, and then that'll be our sauce to top the pork off.
Oh, man. All right.
Oh,
and then,
my
here's my
goodness.
question. Are we putting this inside
We
the pork?
are.
How are you doing it?
Well, it's going to happen really well. We're going to mush it all together. Mush. That's a very technical term.
That's a good
And then
word.
I'm going to, now I've got this started. I prefer to do it when it's easier.
raw?
It's
Also
more,
not
what I call it
hot.
pliable.
So you're right now you're just searing that pork.
I'm
That one's
searing
not
that.
stuffed
Yep.
yet.
No, you can do it either way. I find it easier to do it when it's
Right,
pliable.
otherwise it's going to be kind of more tough and a little hot.
Exactly. Well, you know what? I want to help get this moving along so that we can eat it.
That's a good.
I'm all for that, Kathleen.
That's what it's all about.
So
at the
it's
end of the
all
day.
about keeping the day going and making sure you have dinner.
So you keep it going. You stick
what it's
around
all
here.
about.
We're going to finish up this recipe a little later in the show and next on Mass Appeal.
Welcome back to Mass Appeal. We are back with Kathleen Delaney. She's the owner of Great Grapes Catering, and we're going to finish up our stuffed pork loin recipe with fresh apples.
Yes, and I put pistachios in my stuffing.
Yeah.
Do you want to make sure? Yeah.
I was
they're
making sure
pistachios.
they're pistachios.
They're wonderful, and you could put any nut you wanted. The key to this stuffing is that there's no bread in it. There's nothing in it that is really, you could call it. It's pretty much gluten-free. You could put, if you wanted to, you could add that to it, but it's so not necessary. It's really a fruit stuffing, and it has nuts, and it's really fall-friendly. The one thing I did not mention, which I want to make sure, is that you know how I like to use every part of the vegetable, the fruit, everything. I've peeled the onions and peeled the apples and sliced up an extra apple, put the core in the bottom, and then took the extra what I didn't use for the mirepoix onto the bottom. So you give yourself a layer that we're going to put the pork on top of when we bake it. So that also infuses all the wonderful flavors together.
So that's what we did here.
idea.
And what we've done, in case people can't see it and they missed it earlier, we cut a hole in this pork and we stuffed it.
Yeah, on both
Kathleen
ends.
cut the hole because we were too scared to.
Yeah, but the stuffing's really easy. You just kind of get your hands dirty. So I'm just going to slather.
And now you're just
One of my
slathering
favorite
mustard
things.
on here?
Slathering mustard.
All right,
That's
try
where the
this.
mustard comes in.
Yep.
Remind me to
and
wash my hands before I try anything.
Absolutely, and you wash your hands before you put your fingers back in there, please.
Okay, yes,
Yeah,
I will.
You can also use a spoon.
Oh, now you tell me I
to
could have
know,
used
good
a
to know.
spoon.
I just like to see you get your hands dirty. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to sear it on all sides. I'm going to place it on top of the mixture that I have here.
Okay.
I'm going to cook it in the oven for until about 150 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure how your oven goes, but I've got it on 375 for about 20 minutes. And then you slice it up. And over here I have some really beautiful, just the leftover things I had. I threw in with wine, the wine that had been soaking the cranberries,
So
as well as
Kathleen, we're just
apples.
about out of time.
Okay.
Let's go grab
We
the finished
got that
pork.
finished product. No, I'm going to take it.
Okay.
I
I'm
can't.
gonna do
It's
it.
in the oven.
I got it.
All right.
Because, I'm dying to see this.
Oh, it is. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
that looks great.
It does. And then this sauce will go right on it when we slice it off.
All right, here we go.
That's not necessarily how you're supposed to put on those gloves. Look at that.
Hey, you know how you can a good way to de-stress is cooking. isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's
That's true.
a good de-stressor.
Absolutely.
By the way, earlier in the show, we asked how you de-stress. Tinky, she likes to sing and laugh. Katie goes to the gym, and Deborah hugs a cat. That's not a bad idea. Everybody go home and hug your pets.
Hug your pets. Yes, tomorrow on Mass Appeal, we'll introduce you to our latest pet of the week, speaking of pets.
Plus the perfect fall accessory. Speaking of pets, it's a scarf. But how do you know which style's best for you? We're going to show you some examples and offer styling tips and tricks.
Stay tuned for 22 News at noon. It's coming up next. Thank you, Kathleen, for this.
Let's show this pork off to everybody. Let's put it right here. Let's
And
plate it up.
thank you to Brad Matthew Jewelers for letting me borrow this jewelry for the show.
Ooh.